Well, good evening and welcome once again to Letchworth Cable Access. I'm Kyle Adamzak, and tonight we have as our guest the Reverend Lauren Turner, who is the pastor at the Gainesville United Methodist Church. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We have you here because of a hobby of yours, but why don't you introduce yourself to the folks?
Okay. I should mention too, I have two churches. I have one in Dalton also, Dalton United Methodist Church. And I've always had an interest in graphics and sound, and I taught audio recording at a community college for about 5 years. And I have no qualifications. I never studied it or anything, but I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I'm always playing around with that thing. So most of my background's in music. But I've always been into photography since I was very young. I was a photographer for my high school yearbook, and then
This was
college
35
paper.
millimeter photography?
Oh yeah, yep.
So
Yeah,
you
back
had
in the
a
day when everything was
dark
film.
room?
Yeah, and I used to go in the dark room, play with the chemicals and all that kind of stuff. So I did that, and then I actually did a little bit of filmmaking when I was in college, and that was back when it was still film.
So 16
16
millimeter?
millimeter, yep. And we used to actually cut it with a razor blade and put it together and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm
And
used
where
to that.
was this?
That was at Fredonia where I took those
Yes.
courses, but I've pieced together various schools to put the credits together to form a degree and everything. So that I took just a few courses out at Fredonia, but that's where I studied that.
Now, when you were at Fredonia, what were you majoring in?
Uh, I was actually majoring in kind of a cross divisions degree in art, but it was in all different types, including photography and visual art, music, a lot of different things all put together.
So how did you
Yeah.
go from an art degree to theology?
Well, actually, it went the other way around. It's very strange. Okay, I started out, well, I went to college, and when I was in college, I just took whatever courses interested me. And then when I got to be a senior, I had to get a degree in something, so I looked to see what I had the most credits in. Now, I've been preaching since I was 19 years old. I got appointed to a church, and I took a lot of courses in religion because it fascinated me, and I thought I was probably going to go in that direction. When I got to be a senior, I had most credits in religion and philosophy, so I got a degree in that. And then I continued to preach, but I started taking courses in all these different art forms. And then after that, I started taking my seminary courses when I was about 35 years old. And that was a really unusual thing because it was a course of studies program designed for people that went into the ministry as a second career. But I had already had all kinds of experience, so I was way more experienced than most of the people who were going in there, even though I was the youngest one in the program. So it was a very unusual kind of experience there. But I've always had an interest in all these different fields, and they've always kind of overlapped all the time.
So now you have a hobby, I guess we could call it, where you make short videos.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
When did you
I'd call
start
it
doing
more
that?
a calling than a hobby, but it's a passion that I have, and I've always loved the arts, and I want to get things going. And with filmmaking, you can combine everything. You can combine the music, you can combine the visual elements, you can combine drama, you can combine writing, and I've always been fascinated in all of those things. And about 10 years ago, I started saving all the money that I had to get my own equipment, and I wanted to be completely free. I didn't want any grants that had strings on them or anything. I wanted to be able to produce exactly what I wanted and go in just the direction that I wanted. So I got the cameras that I needed. I've got editing equipment that I need now. I've got a music creation setup that's unbelievable. I can do anything now with that. And now I'm just, the videos that you're going to be showing people on this are going to be little experiments I've been doing with all this new equipment. So I'm just getting started on this. They're going to get more complex as we go on.
Well, let's start with looking at one. This is one that you incorporated with the recent Vacation Bible School.
Mhm.
This was at what, the Gainesville United Methodist Church?
Yep.
Okay. How did you tie this into the Vacation Bible School?
Well, whenever I lead a kids program, I always check to see what the kids are like first. and I find out what skills they have, what keeps them interested. And for this group, I discovered that they were a bunch of show-offs. They really liked being in front of cameras. They loved this, and so I decided to go with it. And I came up with a song at the last minute. I was still working on it as we went there, but I saw it went really well, and I had all the kids bring in a bunch of pillows, and we created a giant pile of them. And then I set up a green screen just in a matter of minutes. I was amazed it even worked, because I couldn't get the lighting on it right and everything. I was under so much pressure. But everything just came together. The kids had a ball, I had a ball, it had a good message to it. This was something we did kind of on the side. We spent a lot of time learning about the Bible and all of that kind of stuff, but the thing they loved was this video that we produced. And then we made a little trailer for it, and we put that up, and then that got a lot of excitement. And then we had a big launching day when the final version came up, when I got all the editing done on it and everything. And so that came, and the kids, they were stars. They got to show that to all their friends and things, so it went over really big.
Well, let's look at it. It's titled Bad, Bad Kids. Mm-hmm. Let's run it.
I may not be an angel. Perhaps I stray the straight and narrow path a bit. Alright, I drive my teacher mad, cause conniptions in my dad. I put pop rocks in the litter of my cat. Sometimes my language can take the paint off the walls. So sad but true. I've been a bad, bad boy. I'm not much, but please don't cry. I've got a friend who's gonna teach me how to fly. When someone makes me really mad, God guides me. He tells me not to smash their face, but greet them with a warm embrace. I take his hand happily, and in moments we're defying gravity. God can make anything brand new, even a bad, bad boy. I'm not like Shirley Temple, more like a bad warrior princess from the dark. When I'm mad, most people hide, take their kids and run inside. I'm Maleficent, Dark Phoenix, and a shark. When I start to snarl, the pit bulls all run. So sad but true. I've been a bad, bad girl. I'm not much, but please don't cry. I've got a friend who's gonna teach me how to fly. When someone makes me really mad, God guides me. He tells me not to smash their face, but greet them with a warm embrace. I take his hand happily, and in moments we're defying gravity. God can make anything brand new, even a bad, bad girl. I'm not much, face, but greet them with a warm embrace. I take his hand happily, and in moments where defying gravity, God can make anything brand new, even a bad, even such a bad, bad boy.
Okay, well, thank you for that. What was the reaction to this video?
Actually, the very first presentation of it, I did it live. I had a projector and I did it in church, and we got applause in church, which is very rare. And no negative responses. I thought for sure we'd get some, but everybody seemed to love it. And,
Why did you think you'd get a negative response?
Well, when you deal with a field like religion, there are some people who think it's a very serious thing, and you have to be solemn and sober, and any kind of use of humor they consider kind of disrespectful or something like that. But no one in either one of my churches had anything negative to say. They all liked it, so it went over really well. I was really pleased.
So this was a one-man band effort on your part? You did the music and the vocals?
Yeah. Actually, my original intention was to have the kids sing it, but it was a little too complex and the kids were a little bit too young, so I did the vocals on it. But I'd like to, and plus we only had 1 week that we had this in. The kids did sing it. They were pretty good, but I didn't think I would have to bring in the equipment to get them recorded and have to put headphones on them and everything to do a good job on it. And we just were too pressed for time, so I did the vocals on it instead.
Now, once again, why was this made? What the message?
Yeah, well, the message was that, if we've done wrong things, we can be forgiven for it, and we can go in a new direction. And even if we stumble and fall, God can help us go in the right way. And a lot of it has to do with flying, which means, rather than being held back by your past, you can let go and you can enter into a new life and you can be free of all that. So altogether, that was kind of the message of it.
And what do you think the students got out of the experience?
I think, first of all, they got the experience that they are welcome in church. And the second thing that they got was you can be religious and it doesn't have to be a painful thing. It can be fun. And I think they learned that, some of the lines in there are, that was another thing that I thought would upset people, I'm trying to think of the lyrics of that. There's one thing where it says, it talks about how God said, and when I want to smash their face, I go instead of warm embrace, that kind of thing. So it shows them that the goal of Christians should be to love other people and things like that, and to avoid the hatred and negative kind of things that we have. So all worked in there, in that. Yeah.
Okay, well now we have another one. This one was actually banned from Facebook. It's titled Election Day 2018. Let's run it. Okay, now we just looked at Election Day 2018. Why did you make this?
Okay, I'm really glad you asked about that one because this particular video shows you one of the reasons why I'm getting into this. Video filmmaking is the language of today. People in old times, they used to read books. Today we watch films, and it has to be able to speak to you on a visual level or it doesn't get through to the masses of people that are out there. And this is something I feel passionate about, is that our country is divided, and it's all right to disagree, but if we can learn to respect each other and disagree but then talk things out, we can still be united and we can still share common values and things like this. Now, I was really pleased in our divided country right now. You talk about some of these things, you just can't help but get a negative response back. They're really, really touchy. But I produce this in such a way, it does not attack conservatives, it does not attack liberals, but it kind of looks for the common ground that we have and the American values that both sides agree with. And I think I pulled it off because I got people from both sides of the spectrum sharing this with their friends, and it spread really rapidly when we put it up online. And nothing negative. Both sides were saying, yeah, we agree with this. This is something we want our friends to hear. And so I was really pleased with that. But Facebook banned it. And I was shocked, because I thought, so I wrote to Facebook and I said, why are you banning this? There's nothing negative here. I'm not attacking anyone. It's just talking about how we need to come together and respect each other. And the letters I got back seemed to be automated at first. I believe they had an artificial intelligence program that looked at some of the images and things, and they said, this is controversial, we got to take it off. And but then finally I got through to, I could tell I was writing to actual people, and they started responding, and I asked them questions, and they said, well, we have to make sure that you're not a Russian. And so I'm not kidding. The steps they made me go through was I had to respond to certain questions and things, and then they had
What were
to
some
send.
of the questions you had to respond to? Do you remember?
I can't remember, but I had to fill out some things, and then the tricky thing that they did, which I'm actually glad they're doing this, is they sent a physical mail to a street address to prove that I was living in the United States. And then I had to get a code number off of that and then go to Facebook and put the code number in so that they knew I'd actually gotten a physical thing in the United States and I could prove that I was an entity. And when that was all done, they gave me permission to put it back up. So it is now in circulation again. But it shows you the problems that we have with the hackers who are putting out masses of things and reaching people in droves, and it's a serious problem. Facebook realizes it, and they're taking steps to rectify it. So I learned a lot through that experience.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Now, where can your videos be seen?
Well, all three of the ones that you have here are on the Gainesville Church website. So if you go to Facebook and you look up Gainesville United Methodist Church. Now, there are at least 3 Gainesville United Methodist churches. There's one in Florida, there's one in Georgia, but look for the one in Gainesville, New York. And on that page, when you get the Facebook page of Gainesville, there's a little section called videos. Go there and you can get any of these videos off of that.
Okay. Now, are there other ones that we haven't shown that are on it?
I think there are. Oh yeah, there's the Sons of Thunder one, which is on there too, which is really amusing.
That was made with students?
Yeah, that was made with the same kids, in fact, and
Yes.
that did the other one, and a few extra kids that we had for that one. And that one's one of my favorites. It's just outrageous. But then I have, I'm trying to think, a few others. Oh, actually, they can't get the lunar phases and violence. They can't get that on the Gainesville Church website. I'm trying to think. If anyone puts a message up on the Gainesville United Methodist Church Facebook thing, I can send them a link to that one, and they can see that.
Okay. Well, we're going to close our program with lunar phases and violence. So, what can you do to set this up without spoiling it?
I did a lot of scientific research into how the phases of the moon tend to cause strange phenomena in the real world. Like, for example, they've known for a long time in mental institutions that the patients get more restless during those nights. Crime statistics show that crimes increase on nights when there's a full moon. And if you go through history, you can find all of these big violent events that all happen on nights of the full moon. And that's basically what it's about.
Okay, we'll look at lunar phases and violence, and we'll take this opportunity to sign off. I want to thank the Reverend Lauren Turner from Gainesville United Methodist Church. If you want to see any of his videos they can go where now?
The Gainesville United Methodist Church Facebook page. Go to Facebook and look up Gainesville United Methodist Church.
And if they want to attend services?
Oh yeah, if they want to attend services, 9 o'clock at Gainesville and 10:30 at Dalton. And we love visitors, and if anyone would like to help me with some of these projects, put a message on the Facebook page and I'll get back to you on that.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. We'll close again with lunar phases and violence.
People working at asylums observed long ago that patients become restless on nights with full moons. It's the same at prisons. Violent activity seems to wax and wane with the phases of the moon. Actual FBI statistics show that violent crime everywhere seems to follow this pattern. This is not a new discovery. The word lunacy actually comes from ancient Latin. People even then observed that violent activity seemed to be linked to lunar phases. Some say it's the gravitational effect of the moon. I used to be skeptical. I believed that the evidence was anecdotal or tainted by researchers trying to prove existing bias. All this changed for me on January 20th, 2019. There was an unusual lunar event that night. The January full moon has always been called the wolf moon by Native Americans. But it was not just an ordinary wolf moon that night. The moon was at its perigee, its closest point to the earth. This is sometimes called a super moon. It's about 14% larger than the moon at its apogee and about 30% brighter. But it was even more unusual, because there was a full lunar eclipse that night. The sun's light, diffracted by the Earth's atmosphere, promised to make the moon red. Such a phenomenon is known as a blood moon. As fate would have it, I was working with my video equipment that night. I forgot to shut off my cameras, and I captured something that would terrify me when I viewed the footage the next morning. The next morning, his facial hair was still there, and I decided to keep it, to remind myself never to go out on nights when there is a full moon. Now, many of the facts that I gave you earlier, I'm not really sure if they're true or not because I just made them up on the spot like many of our politicians do. You may think I'm no better than they are, but in my defense, I have two things to say. First of all, if I made anyone laugh, it was my intention and not the unexpected side effect of my actions. And second of all, when I lie, I'm honest about it.